I like simplicity. Stories that break your brain trying to keep up with a million different plot threads and time travel and multiverse nonsense, no thank you. But a spider guy beating up an octopus guy and that's pretty much it? Sign me the hell up. And I think in part that's why I like the Night at the Museum movies so much, because they're really simple, actually. Almost too simple. Night at the Museum was one of my primary childhood movies, right up there with Disney's Robin Hood and Air Bud Golden Receiver. Night at the Museum was just one of those special movies. I'm not really sure what drew me to it other than just the pure joy of watching it. And honestly, watching it now, I still really like it. Legitimately, it's not an ironic thing. I legitimately enjoy the first Night at the Museum movie. I think it's a lot of fun and it's really sincere, and Jedediah and Octavius are the best little gay boys ever. Where is my Jed and Oct spin-off series, Disney Plus? It's not like one of my favorite movies or anything, but at least once a year I get the urge to go back to it, and I have as much fun with it as I've always had. I also realized that the rules of this tablet are frustratingly vague. Like, my main thing is, where does it draw the line between what does and doesn't come to life? The only information we get is that if it's a museum exhibit, it comes to life. But that begs the question, what counts as a museum exhibit? Sort of like Toy Story 4, like when is the point that a toy becomes a toy and therefore can be alive? Also, Akhman-Ra is straight up a dead body. So this thing doesn't just bring inanimate objects to life, it brings people back to life. And that just seems like a slippery slope. The only dead bodies we see get brought back to life are bodies that were museum exhibits, but in Secret of the Tomb, it is explicitly stated that the tablet was made for the purpose of keeping Akhman-Ra alive. So why does it even bring museum exhibits to life? Why does its power extend to museum exhibits specifically, but also not museum exhibits specifically, because these lions aren't museum exhibits and these Einstein bobbleheads aren't museum exhibits, they're just in a museum. And I don't think the Lincoln Memorial is technically considered a museum exhibit either, so where does the tablet draw the fucking line? But that's not all. There's also the implication throughout these movies that if a museum exhibit, be it a wax figure or whatever else, is supposed to represent a specific historical figure, they have all the memories of that historical figure? How does that work? Not to mention that Teddy's whole arc in the first movie is about him coming to terms with the fact that he's not the real Theodore Roosevelt, so it feels like there's a rabbit hole here of identity and memory and what makes a person, and I just can't deal with that right now. Oh, Roe v. Wade's getting overturned, man. Like, what am I even doing? Do the exhibits have organs? The monkey pees. It is a running gag in all three movies that the monkey pees. Does he have a urinary tract? Teddy gets run over at the end of the first movie, and there's no blood or organs there, so what's the implication here? Did they make this monkey with organs inside of it so those organs became real when the monkey did? If so, why? The dinosaur is drinking water, but it doesn't have a throat, and it shows that the water is just falling on the floor. Why is he doing that? What is the range on the whole sunrise turns you into dust thing? Is it just a matter of being exposed to the sun? Because if so, those lines from earlier are fucked. Or is it just a matter of being in the place that you were supposed to be in? Because we know that exhibits can freeze in different places than they were when they came alive, so there's some wiggle room there, but how much wiggle room exactly? Why is General Custer on the good guy team in Battle of the Smithsonian? It doesn't have to do with the tablet, I'm just asking. But while we're talking about some of the characters, that is actually something I really enjoy about these movies. Owen Wilson was born to play Jedediah, and his chemistry with Steve Coogan is absurd. I reiterate, Disney, spin-off series, make it happen, and make it canon. I ain't quitting you! I love Amy Adams as Amelia Earhart because she just goes for it. You can just tell she's having a lot of fun here playing this over-the-top caricature. Hank Azaria is also having a lot of fun as Kamun-Ra. It's impossible to not be having fun when he's on screen with his silly little lisp. And my absolute favorite is Robin Williams as Teddy Roosevelt. He exudes such a warmth and energy that just makes me feel safe when he's around. He just seems like the guy who always has the plan, who always knows what to do when things are going wrong, and that's just a nice presence to have in your movie. Ultimately, part of what I love about these movies is that it did just seem like everyone was having a good time making them. These don't really feel like cash grabs to me. They don't feel like easy paychecks. It feels like everyone involved, from the director to the actors, really cared about these silly little children's movies. And no one cared more than motherfucking Alan Silvestri. Not even kidding, his Night at the Museum score is one of my favorites. You could play it over an old man eating a bowl of cold soup and it would still feel awe-inspiring somehow. But the point is that these movies never feel like they're apologizing for anything or pandering to anyone. They're that increasingly rare brand of movie that is explicitly for kids, but that never feels like it's talking down to them or treating itself like it's lesser because of its audience. I mean, the end of Secret of the Tomb really treated itself like it was the end of something. the end of a trilogy. And honestly, for as much as I question the logistics of this stupid tablet, I kind of love that the movie doesn't care that much about how it works. You know as much as you need to know. Tablet brings exhibits to life at night, they turn to dust if they're not inside by sunrise. What else is there, really? And it's almost because of all that vagueness and that simplicity that I find myself coming back to these movies, especially the first one, because there's such a whimsical nature to it that still works on me as an adult. And I think part of that is in the fact that I don't totally understand how it works. It's like the difference between The Lord of the Rings and The Chronicles of Narnia. Tolkien was so obsessed with making sure that every individual rock had an elaborate backstory and reason for being that reading those books feels like I'm reading a history lecture. But C.S. Lewis was just like, Santa Claus is in Narnia. Why, you ask? Why the fuck not? The lack of an explanation and the acceptance of that lack is a big part of what makes something feel magical. There's a reason magicians never reveal their secrets. If you know how something's done or how something works, it ceases to feel magical. For something to inspire awe or whimsy or magic, there needs to be a question of how. And maybe the writers of the movie didn't do that on purpose. Maybe they just didn't think about it or didn't care. But the result is the same. I watched everything coming to life and I still, at 23 years old, feel a weird sense of whimsy for it. Part of that is the score, and part of it is the surprisingly impressive special effects for 2006. But I think another part of it is that the focus is never on the how, it's on the magic itself. And that's really what the first movie is about to begin with. It's a movie about an adult man going through very adult problems in the real adult world, rediscovering his own sense of childhood wonder, where the solution to his problem isn't to lock it up or find a way around it, but to embrace it and enjoy it. And yeah, I definitely think the other two movies, especially Secret of the Tomb, are really running on fumes, mostly just a collection of, wouldn't it be cool if this came to life? But that first movie still feels so utterly sincere, taking something that most kids look at as boring and literally lifeless and turning it into something that feels magical. It's a movie that asks you to take a second and just believe in magic for a little while. It's simple. Or maybe it's just a stupid Ben Stiller comedy, I don't fucking know.